I want to say something about Neptune going into Aries, because it's quite electrifying. Have you noticed that when Neptune or Pluto first enters signs, it can be electrifying. Stuff just happens. Like when Pluto entered Capricorn back in 2008, 2009, bang, we had the financial crash. Yeah, the establishment, Capricorn. Yeah, had the rug pulled under it. Yeah, by Pluto. Just as Pluto first entered Aquarius, like a year and a half ago, up comes ChatGPT, and everyone's spooked. Yeah, artificial general intelligence. What a brilliant descriptor of Pluto in Aquarius. And now we've got Neptune entering Aries. Would you remember when Uranus entered Aries back in about 2008, 9, whatever? We got the Arab Spring. We were all electrified by that. Suddenly, there's this rebellion across the Arab world against the evil dictators by the fighters, the freedom fighters. Yeah, and we all welcomed it, because none of us likes a dictator, and we love an underdog, and we love to side with them and be righteous about the evil dictators. And of course, it's never that simple. Because, well, who were these protesters? Well, a lot of them were people like the Muslim Brotherhood. They just wanted a repressive regime of their own, with religious backing. So we need to be careful of that. And now we've got the opposite. Just as Neptune is entering Aries, it's electrifying. Well, it enters at the end of March 2025, but it's the run up, It's as good as, and we've got this whole new zeitgeist powering through America. And my job isn't to say whether that's good or bad. It's just to describe it. And it is the new vision of Aries, just like you have the new vision with Uranus entering Aries. But it's Neptunian this time. It's not just a rebellion. It's got more of a quality of the West needs to be saved. That's how certain people would see it. And again, I'm not saying they're right or wrong. But people are up in arms again, against it. They're up in arms against it. They're up in arms for the rebellion against Uranus in Aries, and look how that turned out. And now they're up in arms against what's happening in America with Trump and the swing to the right. Well, again, don't be for it or against it. Just see what happens. I mean, of course we have an opinion of it. Of course we have a feeling around it. But we also need to be able to stand back and go, we'll see what happens. So I wanted to make that point. Just because it's Trump, just because it's the right wing, doesn't mean it's bad. Just because they're tough doesn't mean they're hard bastards who don't care. Sometimes you have to push a bit for change to happen. The cat always appears in these videos because I bought an Apple computer recently. It doesn't have a pause button. So the cat has come to stare at me. I'm just going to shut the curtain. There we go. It's got hypnotic eyes. It's got powerful presence, that cat. So that's my first point about Neptune in Aries. Second point. The last time it entered Aries was 1860. Both times it hit the IC of the US Sibley chart, the bottom, the homeland. This time it's more powerful because it got Saturn joining it as well. Last time it entered there, you got the American Civil War. This kind of dissolution, Neptune, of the homeland. When it's split in two, IC, homeland, but then a rejoining together. And similarly, it's interesting. I'd never thought of this before, but what you've got in the US as Neptune enters Aries is a Republican administration run largely by ex-Democrats like Elon Musk and Trump and Robert F. Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard, the X-Men. And so they're not Republicans like you'd have thought it. I think they just felt that the Democrat Party was no longer was what it had been. I mean, think of what Robert F. Kennedy leaving the Democrats. I mean, a huge betrayal for his family. They've got an ancient loyalty to the Democrats, which one shouldn't really. Yeah, one shouldn't have loyalty to any party in that tribal way. It's not meant to be tribal. But anyway, his family does, because they helped them when they first arrived. So you can understand it. Anyway, so there's your dissolution. Yeah? You've got a Republican administration run by ex-Democrats. How interesting. I'm not saying I agree or I disagree with what they're doing. But maybe that's something of, maybe there is a unifying through the Neptune dissolution of old boundaries. So let's see where it goes, because Neptune and Saturn are coming together, and that's powerful. When an outer planet comes together with Saturn, Saturn is the bridge between the outer and the inner planets. And so that energy can manifest. Yeah? When Saturn was opposite Pluto in 2001, it manifested in 9/11. Yeah? Foreign, Sagittarius, Terra, Pluto, opposite Saturn. Saturn was in Gemini, the Twin Towers. How eerily synchronistic. It's a sort of cosmic, well, black humour, isn't it? So, yeah, Saturn means they manifest. So the last time Saturn and Neptune came together was in Capricorn at the end of 89. Communism collapsed. It was the end of an old political order. So it's serious business. It's about a new order. Yeah? Communism was a religion. It was a Christianity substitute. It was to redeem us from capitalism, all of that. Well, it came to an end. And so there's an old political order coming to an end now. And the old political order coming to an end now is post-war liberalism. Yeah? A lot of which, particularly in Europe, has been founded on the idea that nothing can happen that looks anything remotely like Hitler. They're so scared, they're so terrified of what might happen. That's why people can't even talk about immigration. Because for them, they don't even know why they can't talk about it. But the reason they can't talk about it is because to them, it seems like it's only one step from controlling immigration to having concentration camps. Yeah? So they can't even talk about it. And of course, you've got to be able to control immigration. Yeah, like anything. You've got to have proper borders and you let the people in that you can absorb. That's what a good king does. Yeah? And we're so terrified of the return of the bad king that we can't even have a good king. That paradigm is coming to an end. Europe, the EEC, the EU was founded on this idea as well. Terror of what France and Germany might do to each other after 200 years, the terrible things they've done to each other. Let's unite to stop that happening again. Well, it was a problem of the past, and they were building the future on the past. The EU is likely to unravel as Neptune enters Aries, Neptune and Saturn, because they'll be crossing over the angles, which are at the end of the mutable signs of the EU. So it's going to unravel. Who knows what will come? It may just be a free trade area. The political dimension of it is there to stop France and Germany going to war. Well, I don't think we need to worry about that. Its foundations are not secure. They're not good foundations. They're built in fear. So I don't think it will last. I mean, think about it. All these countries that are so distant culturally from each other. Yeah, different languages, everything. You can't push them together politically. Even America only barely came together in 1789 or whenever it was, or 1779. The 13 states only just happened, and they were remarkably similar. So, a fortiori, Europe, forget it. So, Saturn and Neptune entering Aries, a new vision, a swing to the right. That's what's happening in America and what's happening in Europe. We need both the right and the left wings. I think I can say this as an impartial astrologer. If you're an impartial astrologer, you need to be able to see the need for both. You need the order and stability, which is valued by the right, and you need the compassion that is valued by the left. You need both, and both go too far, and we swing between them. That's all that's happening. But also the end of post-war liberalism. It doesn't mean we won't still have liberalism, but that particular flavour, which was founded on fear of the past, that's not a good foundation. So we haven't just got Saturn and Neptune changing sign, we've also got Pluto and Uranus changing sign. All this year. It's phenomenal. Yeah? Saturn and Neptune in Aries, and then sextile to Pluto entering Aquarius, and sextile to Uranus entering Gemini. It really is a whole new age that we're entering into. And because it's got 2 trines and a sextile in it, with Saturn and Neptune at the top of this mini grand trine as they're known, it may happen without too much bloodshed. It may not be terrible. It may not be awful. It might be a relatively smooth entry into a new age. Thank heavens for that. We may not agree with it all. We may think, oh, terrible things are happening. Concentration camps are just around the corner. Dictatorships are just around the corner. I think we'll find that that's not the case. And I think we'll find that the Trump administration, we may not like Trump, we may not agree with the politics, but we might find, well, actually, if we stand back, one way or another, the Ukraine war ended. One way or another, the Palestine problem has eased considerably after those endless cycles. We might find good things come out of it. We might find prosperity comes out of it. But we may well find that the poor aren't taken care of as well as they need to be, and will lead a swing to the left at the end of it. That's usually how it goes. But it is a grand new age. It's going to be before and after, because the outer planets are collective. And so the collective goes into a new age when one of them changes sign. If all 3 changes sign together, it really is a new age. It's a new paradigm. It's going to be before and after. So much is happening. In some ways, it may be Elon's trip to Mars that is the biggest event we remember. I don't know. That's certainly a major part of this new age, I think, that we're going into. It's an adventure. Yeah, we'll stop arguing about pronouns because we've got something to excite us. Imagine what it was like 500 years ago, Columbus going around the world and these stories of gold. Yeah, and new worlds. It's that sort of spirit. And humanity needs that. We need to feel we're going towards something. There's maybe even too much. The times are changing so quickly. Yeah, particularly with AI and where that's going into. We can barely keep up with it. Who knows where it's going to? It's exciting. Yeah? Let's be excited about it. Let's not bother too much about whether or not we agree with the politics, because the right is sweeping across the West. Yeah. So, well, you can rail against it, or you can try and see what's good in it. And I think it's much better to see what's good in it. So maybe that's all I've got to say for now. But we are entering a big new age. And the outer planets describe that. They give us a heads up. If you're in astrology, you get a heads up of what the gods have in store. And humanity needs a shake-up. Humanity always needs regular shake-ups because we get stuck in ruts. We want to hang on to how things are. And then we don't change and nothing changes. And so we may disagree with the nature of the change, but it is a change. That was what happened with Brexit in the UK. You may or may not have disagreed with it, but it sure as hell was a shake-up. And who knows the minds of the gods when they bring us these shake-ups. So I think that'll probably do for now. But seize this new age. Carpe something or other. Seize the day of it. Okay. See you later.